How's it going, everyone? This is Maximilian, and you're watching episode 12 of Street Fighter X Tekken, the Online Warrior. Oh, and you thought we were gone. Street Fighter X Tekken, the Online Warrior is back after a fairly long hiatus. If you guys didn't get a chance over the past couple of weeks to check out some of the Street Fighter X Tekken videos, we last left off with a week of Street Fighter X Tekken, actually the second week, and there's been two of them now, with a bunch of online ranked games and live commentary, but since then there's a lot of stuff has happened. E3 happened, there's been a lot of news and information, and some recent critical balance patches have come out for this game, so let's jump right into it, and let's jump right into the first and most important thing that happened, and I think it actually happened today as of recording this video, was the Rolento glitch has finally been fixed. Captain Time Gem now has been removed of his time power capabilities, and Rolento can no longer freeze game systems with a throw of a knife colliding with another fireball of another character. So this was a huge glitch. This is something that really pissed everybody off. There's actually a rumor that was on, I think it was Hadouken.net, that people were fired, that testers were actually fired over this. I don't know if that sounds a little extreme, but who knows. There's also a lot of other rumors regarding other games happening right now through Capcom, so I'm not going to add any validity to that because I really have no idea, but it was just interesting seeing that little bit of a rumor. But the glitch is fixed. It's out on PS3, it's out on Xbox 360. You can happily use Rolento to your utmost desire, and he will no longer crash and freeze your gaming systems. But the funniest thing is that I played quite a bit. I played about 6 hours of Street Fighter X Tekken Online after the Rolento glitch appeared, and I literally didn't run into one Rolento player. Not a single one, and this was combined with Xbox and PS3. Let me know if you guys were actually running into people that were actively trying to troll people, but all I really found was decent competition. It could be the fact that I'm a little bit higher of a ranking. I'm like at B or B plus right now with around 8 to 9,000 BP, which is like a mid-range. It's not that good, but it's not that bad. But it puts me in this scale where I was only getting people that were legitimately looking to fight. So what I also noticed as of playing these huge gameplay sessions is that the community in Street Fighter X Tekken Online is pretty good. Like, as far as how people treat and act, like, it's a lot different than Marvel. I don't run into a lot of rage quitters, even though I still run into that in Marvel quite a bit. I don't know, I kind of feel like there's a lot of people still playing Street Fighter X Tekken Online, but getting into the next bit of information, this game is such an interesting story. Like, it's so funny, like, if you look at the titles of the last few episodes of the Online Warrior, it's like, hope for the game to do okay, loss of hope for the game to do okay, new game mechanics completely ruining the game, the death of a fighter, you know, stuff like that. This overall gradual progression going down that Street Fighter X Tekken is just not cutting it for people. But there's been some recent news for me to believe that this game is not done, and with some interviews that were recently released, I think Seth Killian was talking at E3 about the future of Street Fighter X Tekken. Now, what he was saying is something that I'm really glad that it seems like Capcom is not going to give up on this game. And the reason being is that I like the characters in Street Fighter X Tekken the most. That's why I get excited about this game. I like the combination of the cast, I like the characters, I like the overall feel of the gameplay system, and it just seems like a really enjoyable game to me. However, at high level play, in tournament play, I don't think it works very well. And in most situations when you watch it at tournament play, it doesn't end up being that interesting. So what's going to happen, and this is according to Seth, and I believe we can consider this official, even though we don't have the official word of what it's going to be, but there's going to be, quote-unquote, as Seth described, fireworks. Now, what this means is that they're doing what I believe a complete overhaul of the Street Fighter X Tekken engine. There's still going to be some things that they carry over, that the game will still look fairly similar and play fairly similar, but as far as mechanics and how mechanics work specifically, certain frames of moves, how the overall system of Street Fighter X Tekken is going to be taken into a bubble and then spread out again. They take certain mechanics, they remove those mechanics, or they replace them with new ones, and essentially you have a different game. Now, I'm trying to think of games in the past that kind of gone through a system like this, and it's really hard to imagine, because Street Fighter X Tekken is a game that is a current gen fighter, and if we take games from previous gens, like if you compared the Street Fighter 3 series, the first and second version of Street Fighter 3, and then you had Third Strike is dramatically different. Like, the way the frames of animation of characters, the way characters move, the way parrying works, everything feels a little bit different, but not like drastically changed like this game is going to be. So I'm fairly excited. I'm really curious what they're going to do to the overall gameplay system, because I'm trying to think of what is possible. Are they going to increase the damage? Is there going to be an overall damage increase across the board? Are they going to... well, one thing I remember him saying was that they're not going to obliterate gems. Like, gems are a core foundation of the Street Fighter Cross Tekken system, and they're not going to be getting rid of it. So my initial prediction was that gems seemed like a good idea. It seemed like it was something cool for people that were trying to get into a Street Fighter game and they wanted to customize it a certain way to their own playstyle. On paper, it sounds great, but when it comes to the just disgusting amount of options that you got with gems and the ridiculous amount of gems added on top of that, you had so many possibilities that I don't think there's any way you can actually balance that. And even though they were claiming it was going to be balanced when it came out and stuff like that, it's just a little ridiculous. And when it came to like some recent interviews that Ono had explaining that the production time and like Capcom was really fierce on him getting this project out, it seemed like Street Fighter Cross Tekken came out a bit earlier than we all anticipated. I mean, come on. You guys are watching videos of mine of the very first playable build of Street Fighter Cross Tekken, and that was hella early. Had like 1 or 2 system mechanics, and the game came out less than a year, like 3 months earlier than a year after that, so 9 months after. That's nuts. Like, that's crazy to see a game go from pre-beta, practically pre-beta fighting build, like an alpha build, and go to complete release within a year. So there were definitely a lot of things that they probably had to cut corners on, and who knows what those project designers have since gone to. Like, I'd love to know what the Street Fighter team is working on now. Maybe it's Darkstalkers and the Ultimate Marvel team. Who knows where those guys are at the moment, but there's the information that came forth was that the new producer of the game was brought on to kind of fix everything, to kind of like take into account all the things the players were saying, all the tournament suggestions. They're going to make it more tournament viable. They want to make it a heavy hitter in the Street Fighter series, and they don't want to give up on it. And that's the best thing that I can think of, that they do not want to give up on this game. So I'm going to keep playing it with what they keep giving us right now. Hopefully there will be some small balance adjustments to come here forth. There's still the Relento glitch patch just came out, and who knows what we're going to see a bit later, but they're still giving us colors. They're still adding gems, which is kind of a bummer that cost money. However, it really depends on how much these will affect the game, and I think they were even saying things like the Ultimate Defense gem will definitely be adjusted later on, so it seems like they're listening to us, and thank God, because this game, I wanted to be really good, seemed great for the first few weeks, and then just went completely downhill in the public eye. I still enjoy playing the game, so I'm still going to be making episodes of the Online Warrior, Week of, and live commentary, stuff like that. So if you guys enjoy Street Fighter Cross Tekken, leave a thumbs up to let me know how much you like watching these videos. But there's a lot of big stuff planned in the future. I don't know how long down the future. EVO's coming up fairly soon. I don't know if Capcom has anything planned for EVO, but last year they had like playable builds of SFxT. They had playable builds of Ultimate Marvel 3. So maybe there could be some information there. I have no idea, but I really hope so. So moving on, E3 recently happened. I was able to attend E3. I was able to talk to some of the Capcom guys about the future of the game, and I was definitely getting the impression that they're not letting Street Fighter Cross Tekken go to waste. They're not going to let it just like fall into the lava pit and essentially burn up and no one will end up playing it. No, they're going to be paying attention to it. And I also got to try out the recent build of the game, and the build that has the Vita version. So I'd like to give you guys a couple of quick impressions. Most importantly, the characters of the console version. Now, I don't have a ridiculously hacked system, so I don't have access to any of these characters, even though a lot of people do. And we're going to see some crazy tech probably day one, but I have reason to think that the characters might not be the exact same as they are on the disc than the actual released versions, that when they are eventually released, when the Vita version comes out, there might be some significant changes to some of those characters, but I don't know. That's what I keep thinking when I keep talking to people about when this version's coming out alongside the Vita. But from what I played, this was the unbalanced and regular original and iterations of these characters, and I primarily played Lars and Cody and Dudley with a little bit of time I had. It was kind of challenging because you had a controller at some places, then you had an arcade stick at others, but the second player was actually a PlayStation Vita, so you can actually experience that integrity between both of the characters between each other. So it was pretty cool. However, the Vita version, when it's connected, the Vita version's like a carbon clone copy. And sometimes when you play between the connectivity, it looks really good, and it actually responds the way you would think, like the Vita's just an extra controller. However, there is a couple of like frame stutters every once in a while, and it makes it a little difficult to consistently get what you want to do, and the Vita controls are a little wonky too. There was another announcement that recently happened that there's going to be a mobile version, like a mobile OS version of Street Fighter X Tekken, similar to the vein of Street Fighter 4, but I don't know about you guys, and I actually have been getting a lot of submission videos of the Vita version of Ultimate Marvel 3, probably because it already has like a replay function and you could easily go back and record your matches, but when it comes to like mobile device gaming, and this is just me, like I don't know about your guys' opinion when it comes to games like Street Fighter 4 that was on the 3DS, all these versions of these games like hold up really well to their original aspects, but they just don't do it for me. For some reason, I'm just never been a fan of mobile gaming, and when it comes to like Street Fighter on a mobile device, it's like I don't get the point, because I can't practice to fight against people, because finding people to fight against on a mobile version is going to be ridiculously difficult to find consistent, competition. So it's just me. Let me know if you guys are actually excited for the mobile versions of these games, but I really don't care, and you're not going to find much coverage for the Vita version of any fighting games or the mobile OS version of fighting games. It's just not going to happen. So anyway, moving on. That was a lot of the stuff that was announced at E3. Let's talk about some of these character impressions. The first guy I used the most, and of course, was Lars. I used a little bit of Dudley and Cody, like I was saying, but when I was trying to use Dudley and Cody, I'm trying to use like their Street Fighter 4 and or Third Strike versions of the character, so it doesn't work really well. Dudley seems like he has quite a bit of combo potential, however, he does feel kind of stiff in the Street Fighter X Tekken overall gameplay system, so I'm not too sure on his overall potential early on. Cody kind of felt the same way. He has a little bit better of mobility, but chaining his normals, kind of like how you do in Street Fighter 4, like, light, medium, special move, was a bit more challenging, which was kind of surprising to me, so I didn't get to see what moves of his, like, properly crumple, or air launch, or do things along that sort that you would expect from a Street Fighter X Tekken character. Lars, I was somewhat disappointed with, because it seemed that if he wanted to get longer, extended combos with Lars, it was going to take a lot of meter. And as much as he's the coolest looking damn character in the game, and he's the character I've been wanting since the game first came out, so I'm going to play him regardless. I just hope he gets adjusted a little bit. As many of you guys have probably seen, there's been a lot of videos of these characters released, so this information is probably extremely lackluster to a lot of you, but as far as like actual hands-on playing them impressions, Lars feels like Adon. Like, he feels like the Adon of Street Fighter X Tekken. He has a fairly similar moveset, and he moves really like that character in Street Fighter 4. But that's kind of interesting, which makes me think that he might be a poke zone runaway character. Instead of like a huge combo potential. Even though I want a combo potential character, I don't think he is going to be that early on, but like I said, I got to play against a crowd of a lot of people with waiting in line and try my best to just stay on the machine and things like that, so some fairly interesting stuff about Street Fighter X Tekken happening as of late. Since it's been a couple weeks, it seems like all this news drops, but it's good to hear that the new producer, Ayano, is going to be taking the future of the game fairly seriously, and there could be a chance that there is some information and news happening fairly soon for the game. I don't know. I really hope so. But over the past 2 weeks, since we haven't had any Street Fighter X Tekken content on this channel, do you guys want to see more of this game? As you're noticing in the background, I've been sticking primarily with Ken and Ogre. I just personally am really attached to both of these characters. I think Ogre is one of the most fun things I could have chose to switch to in this game. I remember going back to Kazuya on a couple of occasions, and I just wasn't enjoying myself as much. So I'm really digging this character. If you guys have any suggestions as far as who goes with Ogre really well, I remember seeing Filthy Rich, the community manager at Namco, early on when we were at Cross Assault, was using Ogre and Heihachi, and he was doing some absolutely dirty, disgusting stuff that was totally amazing and ridiculously fun to watch. But I'm still trying to get better with the character, and I've actually gotten to the point where I was playing early on in PlayStation Network because I didn't have too much BP, and I wanted to just learn the character against people that weren't just going to murder the hell out of me. Like, destroy you so fast that you don't even have a chance to understand what's going on. What you first need to do when you start up a new character in a fighting game is just to go up against human opponents. Don't just go into training, because you need to start understanding how people react and what you do with that character to react to what that person does. That's why when you go into a training mode and you try out a brand new guy or character in a game, and it seems like none of the stuff I want to do is working when I play the game. So that's the reason being, is that you're fighting against a dummy, and when you're practicing things like combos, applying a combo into a real match uses like a different portion of your brain. I think I've talked about this before, that mindset of actually getting to the combo instead of performing the combo are two completely different things. So there's a chance that you weren't ready for the combo to happen and you'll just drop the combo that you practiced for 3 hours. That's because you're not prepared for the combo to happen. Does that make sense to you guys? It means that you need to get adjusted and prepared that whatever is going to be coming next as a result of me trying to get to the combo, I'm ready for the combo to happen. And those are two different mindsets. So when you guys are going up against computer opponents or anything like that, I actually recommend that if you're in training mode, use the just computer option in training mode. Just fight against something. Something that'll block your attack, something that'll counterattack, something that'll somewhat act like a person that a CPU does, because this will help a little bit when you go to fight against actual people, online or offline. So the best competition you can possibly have when you go into, when you're picking up a new character, unless you're like an absolute fighting game expert like, you know, Justin Wong or some guy like that that can go in with any character and do well, you need to fight against people, and if those people aren't of the best skill level, it's a good starting barrier entry. Now, the challenging thing with these games is that isn't a very easy thing to do, because this game will kind of pair you up with everybody, so you just kind of have to take what you can get in the online environment. But it definitely helped me. Like, I was able to go on a fairly decent win streak, learn some stuff with Ogre, and then I jumped onto Xbox, where I have like all the mid-rank guys, the guys that have a lot of wins, like over 300 games, and are around the B+ to A rank. And I was winning every other game or so with Ogre, because a lot of people don't know how to fight against Ogre. And when that's happening, that can be a little frustrating, because none of the stuff you want to work is working. However, over the next few play periods, when I was, as you guys have been watching with the Online Warrior and this game, I started to do a lot better. And in this one you're watching right here, I was doing much better, and I was actually fairly pleased with my performance using the newer character. And now I feel like I kind of know what Ogre can bring to the table. So just some food for thought. Let me know if that actually ends up working for you guys in the long run if you're trying to pick up a new character. Hopefully it does. And this has been kind of a jam-packed episode of Street Fighter X Tekken with a lot of information, and a lot of stuff has happened. But thank you guys very much for watching. This has been Maximilian, and I'll see you next time.